So once again, welcome you all to today's section. Today we are going to go straight to solve questions on throughput. So that's the question solving stage of throughput accounting ratio. As we've gone through the principle already, now let's get start the game with questions. So we look at the question called alpha, beta, gamma. That is question number 5. Question 5, alpha, beta, gamma. From there, we look at the ICA past question on throughput. That's November 2018. So question 5 is here. Alpha, beta, gamma. So to avoid deviation, I'll go straight to the requirement and then. So let's go to the requirement. Required. Required. How many units of beta should be produced each week to maximize profit? We said that one of the good news about throughput is that we use throughput to advise or make decision on the combination or the mix of the product that they should produce in order to maximize profit. So basically, that is what throughput is about. So for throughput accounting, we use throughput to determine the number of units or the combination of the units that we have to produce to maximize the profits of the company. Good. So that is the throughput accounting. So in the question, it goes like this. Either advise. 1. 2. Determine the optimum production mix. Optimum production mix. 3. Production plan. So this is how the requirement will be. Either you are advising the company on the production mix, the combination of products that they should produce in order to make profit or the maximum profit. So in that case, we have to go through the steps. We have 1 up to 6 steps in the throughput. So the very first step is, so I'll just write the name or the heading of the question. So we are doing A, question 5A. So 5A. We'll start the optimum production mix. It simply means the mix of product that they should produce in order to do what? Maximize profits. That is the game. Okay. Okay. So the first step will be the limiting factor. Identify the limiting factor. So limiting factor, that's the first step. How do you determine limiting factor? Limiting factor is a resource or a factor that places a challenge on organization's objective. So any of the resource that we have it in what? Limited supply. That is a limiting factor. There are 2 ways. In a question, either the examiner will determine the limiting factor for you, or you have to determine it yourself. The first example that we look at it, that's the example 4, the limiting factor was given to us. But this particular question, the limiting factor is not there, so we have to calculate by ourselves. Look at how we are going to determine the limiting factor. Now, the limiting factor, if you want to determine it, all what you need to do is this. You look out for the resource that you have, and then you compare to what you need. So let me use the normal terms. Let's assume that you are going to write ICA. ICA, if you are going to write ICA, what do you need? Tell me just 2 items that you need to write ICA. 2 items. If you get correct, then ICA will give you marks. Now, 2 items that you need for your exams. 1, you need time. So time. 2, you need what? Yes, you need money. Yes. You need money. Exam registration. Good. So let's assume that the time I say you need what? You need at least 3 months preparation. Each sitting at least 3 months. Money. Let's assume that at least you need 1,000 cedis. This is what you need. Then you compare it to what you have. So let's go. What you have. So time. You need 3 months, but currently, looking at your schedule, what's your free space? You only have 2 months. Okay, but when it comes to money, oh, you have some 6,000 maybe somewhere. So money is not an issue to you at all. For you, there, yes, you have dough. Yes, you have dough. So if instead of 1,000 Ghana, if the market what 6,000 Ghana, at least you have 5,000 extra. Okay. Now just for a sitting, just for one sitting, you need 1,000 Ghana just for one sitting, just a sitting. Okay. So now tell me, which of these resource is a limiting factor? Is preventing you? You have its limited supply. It's a time. Why? Because what you have is 2 months, but what you need is 3. So it's limited. So anywhere you want to determine the limiting factor, in a situation where the examiner have not given it to you, all what you have to do is just relax. Write the resources here. These are the resources. Time, money, what again? Then you write what you need. I need 3 months. Then compare to what you have. I have 2 months there. So this is the limiting factor. Why? Because the 2 months is not enough. That is it. That is all. So you are going to base this assumption or this idea to determine the limiting factor. However, for throughput, the limiting factor must be 1. Must be what? 1. If let's say you have the money, the money lock up with men's goods, so let me just 800 Ghana. So that means both time and money they are in what? Limited supply. So what do you do? So here the limiting factor is 2. Now we cannot use throughput. You have to use what you call linear programming. Linear programming. Good. So that is that. Now let's go to this question and then determine the limiting factor. So you go to the question, just locate the resources. And we said that for the purpose of your examination, the limiting factor will be what? Mention the machine time, labor hours, raw material, or factory hours. For the purpose of your examination. Good. So let's go to the question and then identify the resources. So let's go to the top. Let's start. After manufacture, each heater has to go through 3 processes: assemble, quality, and control packaging. Quality control and packaging. Good. The following information is available for the 3 heaters: alpha, beta, gamma. Selling price per unit, they are there. Direct material cost per unit is also there. Direct labor cost per unit. Machine time per unit. Wow, machine time. So they have 3 types of machines: assemble machine, quality machine, and what? Packaging machine. So time that they need in minutes. So here they need 2 minutes. So if you want to assemble each unit of alpha, then they need what? 2 minutes to do that. 3 of beta, and that of 2.5 for gamma. So that is it. So these are the resources. So immediately when I get the resources, I'm going to write them here like this. So I'll start. I write the resources here. So I write assemble. Let me push it up. So I'll get enough space. I write assemble. I write quality control and packaging like this. So how I listed the resources here, my time and money that you need to write ICA or your professional exams. So what we do is this. We go again. Weekly sales demand, that is 850. Operating expenses including labor, that's good news. Because we say that in throughput, labor cost is what? Fixed. Perfect. Are $4,000. So here the operating expenses is the same as what? Operating cost, factory cost, or fixed cost, and it must include what? Labor. So thank God the examiner has what? Added the labor for us. In some situations, some of the complex questions won't add the labor. You have to calculate the labor and do what? Add it. Now let's see this. The maximum hours available for the machines are 150 hours for assemble, 170 hours for quality control, and 250 hours for packaging. So this is what you have. This is what you have. The 6,000 and then the 2 months. Good. So let's calculate what you need. So the question is this. You group them product by product. So I write alpha here. Alpha, beta, and gamma. I'll put it minute here. Minutes. We are working in minutes. Why minutes? Because the minutes are many than what? The hours. And converting minutes to hours will involve some decimals. But converting hours to minutes, no decimals. Great. Now what you do is this. Let me ask this question. Okay, now let me ask this question. If each unit of alpha, you need 2 minutes of assemble time, 2 minutes. Now the demand is 1,000. So if you want to produce all the 1,000, if each unit, you need 2 minutes. Now the demand is 1,000. If you want to achieve your objective of that 1,000 units, how many minutes do you need? So I'll multiply this 1,000 by these 2 minutes. That will give me 2,000 minutes. So that means here I put 2,000 minutes. So I need 2,000 minutes. In fact, I have to step this guy down. I have to step him down a little, like here. A minute. So 2,000. So I'll put 2,000 here. Because I need 2,000 minutes. Then for that of beta, 3 minutes of 1,005. Or we can fill for quality control 3 minutes. So that will be 3,000 and 4,000 for packaging. So 3,000 and 4,000 for packaging. Then we continue the game. Then I'll go to beta. Beta assembly time is 3, but the demand is 1,005. So 3 minutes by 1,005, that will give us 4,500. So 4,500. Then we go to four for that of quality control and 5. So this one will give us 6,000 and 7,500. Good. So 6,000 and 7,500. Then the next section will be 2.5 for that of gamma. So 2.5 by 850. That will give us 1,700. Great. So 1,700. Then Great. So what will be the, so this will give us 2125, not 2125. Let's go and pick the next section. This one is 2. Good. That's the one that will give us 1007. Good. Then lastly, we will have 3 by 850. That will give us, so that will probably give us 2550. Okay, so here we pick resources by resources. Then we calculate what you need. So I'll put need here. Need. In fact, the term for it is the requirement. So if you want the technical term is a requirement. So you can resource requirement or what you need. So let me put a requirement here. Resource requirement. So you sum them up, 2000 plus 4005, that's 6005, plus 2125. So that means you sum them up, that's a total requirement. That's a total need because you are not producing only 2 or 1 product, you are producing 3 products. And each of them, the time that you need at assembly department, putting all of them together will give you the total time that you need. So 6005, and that'll give us 8625. 8625. So this is what you need. Then you come to quality control. 3000 plus 6000 making 9000 plus 1700 making 10700. Perfect. Then finally you come to packaging. With the packaging, the alpha is what? 4000. So to be 4000 plus 7500, that's 11500 plus 2550. Good. 2550. So that will give us 14 and 50, right? Great. This is the requirement. Then you compare it with what? The availability, what you have. So available, I call it what you have. You compare what you need to what you have. If what you need are more than what you have, then it's a limiting factor, that item or that resource. That is all. So let's go to the question and go and pick what we need from the question. Like what do we have? So the maximum hours available, wow, that's available. For the machines are 150 hours. Don't forget that we are working in minutes. So the 150 hours convert it to what? Minutes by multiplying by what? 60. So 150 times 60, that will probably give us 9,000. Good. So 150 by 60, that should give us 9,000. So 9,000 for what we have. Then 170 for that of, so it's 150, 170 and 250. So 170 times 60, that should give us 10,200 or so. So 10,200. Then 250 minutes by 250 hours by 60 minutes. That will give us 15,000. So therefore, I'll put the 15,000 here. So both friends online and then friends in person. Which of these resource is a bottleneck resource? Okay, so over here, the limiting factor is the quality control. Why? Because what you need is more than what you have. Let's take the one after the other. If you take assemble time, we need 8,625. However, we do have 9,000, so we have more than what we need. And when we take the quality control, we need 10,700 minutes, but we have 10,200. So it's a limiting factor. If I should end here, that's a limiting factor. But let's go again. When you take packaging, you need 14,050, but you do have 15,000, so you have it more. So therefore, normally, I will ring this one as what limiting factor to identify. So right after this calculation, you go ahead, then you tell the examiner that the limiting factor is what? Quality control time with a maximum time of 10,200 minutes. You are done. So that is how we are going to work it out. So that's the very first step of the optimum production plan. Step 1, identify the limiting factor. If they don't give you the limiting factor, please, this is the step. Although there are two ways of determining the limiting factor. This is a common one. One of the complex questions in the material contains the other one. So that's the good news. Yes. Good. So that is it. Okay. So we are done with the very first step. Can we go to step 2 in the optimum production plan? Great. So let's quickly go to step 2. Step 2. I would still take off this side and then start from the top. It says step 1, determine the limiting factor. Step 2, calculate the throughput per unit. So continuation. I will tell the examiner that I want to calculate the throughput. So I will start alpha, beta, and gamma. Good. This reminds us the gamma lizard story. Okay, so how do you find throughput? Throughput is nothing by the sales price or the selling price minus what? The material cost. You say throughput is nothing by sales minus material cost. So therefore, I'll tell the examiner that my sales or my selling price less what? Material cost. So I just have to go to the question, look for this in the question, and that's the end of the game. So let's go to the question and pick them one after the other. I'll pick all the figures at the go. So you have to also pick your own too. So that's alpha 2, beta 2.25, and gamma 1.175. So that's the selling price. So that's 2, 2.25, 1.175. Perfect. Let's go and pick. Don't forget your currency. We are reporting in international city. International city. Yes, that's our currency. Okay. Then let's go and pick the material cost too. I'll pick all of them too at a go. Material cost. Direct material cost per unit. Here's it. So 0.5, 0.81, and 0.35. So let's go. 0.8, 0.5, and I'll swap them. Let me start from the back. 0.35. Here should be 0.8, and here should be 0.5. Agree. Okay. So what to do is kindly put them in brackets. That suggests that we are subtracting. So throughput per unit. throughput per unit. So this one give us 0.5. This one give us 1.45, right? So this one give us 1.44, 0.825. 0.825. Then this is the step 2. Step 3, we need a throughput per limiting factor. So you have to bring the limiting factor here. So the limiting factor that we have identified, limiting factor per unit. Which of the factors were the limiting factor? We identified the quality control. So go and pick the quality control time and then come and then assemble them here for us. So let's go and pick the quality control time. Quality control time. Quality control. So that's 342. Good. 342. That's the quality control time. It was a limiting factor. So 342. Good. So when we are done, we will divide and then we get what you call throughput per limiting factor. So throughput per limiting factor. So 1.5 divided by 3. That will give us 0.5. 1.44 divided by 4. And that we are dividing. Because we said throughput per limiting factor. Per limiting factor. So throughput divided by the limiting factor. This is the throughput per unit. Divided by limiting factor per unit. Good. So this should give us 0.36. 0.4125. 4125. Okay. Great. Now let's go to the second part 1 stage. Great. Now the next step is the ranking. Now this is the game. Our quality control time is limited. So each minute that we spend, we are getting 50 pesos for that of alpha. Just like if you are producing 3 products. Let's say local kenke, gankenke, and banku from the same condo. But this condo is limited. You can't produce all the numbers that you want. So the question is, you look at the one that will give you more money, more return, more income. Then you produce that one plenty. Because you cannot afford to use the little condo that you have to go and produce the one that they will not buy. So that is the game. So here, each minute that we spend or each quality control time, we are getting 50 pesos. Over here, we are getting 36 pesos. Over here, we are getting what? 41.25 pesos. That is the return that we are getting. So we have to rank them. So the next step will be ranking. So that we know the one that will give us the highest return and produce in that order. We are going to produce in that order, the one that will give a highest return. If you know that the time left cannot help you to pass alpha, then you need to attack the weakest one, the one that can give you more pass, like audit reading ones. You don't want to clear that one from the way, at least to give you some vim or some energy. That is it. So ranking. So let's rank them from highest to the lowest. So from the one that gives us the highest return to the one that will give us the lowest return. Let's produce in that order. So the first person on the list will be gamma, right? Because 41 pesos or to be beta or alpha. Which of them? Which of this is higher? 4125. Is it higher than 0.5? Not at all. Yes. So this is first. Yes, return is what? 6. Who's to win? Good. Alpha is second. Beta. So first, second, third. I like that. Apart from 50%, which of these is the next highest? That's 41 pesos. It's far higher than what? 36. So second. Next, then you score third. So it tells us that when we are producing, we should produce in this order. We should spend all our quality control time to produce everything of alpha. When we are done, then we will relax for a while, then we come back again and spend all the time to produce what? Gamma. If there is some remain, then we give it to beta because he's the one giving us the least return. So you don't need to spend your scarce resources on the one that gives you the least return. Good. So that is it. Okay. Now we are done. If you get a ranking, then you quickly place it in the next step. You go to the allocation of resources and optimum production plan. That's the next stage. Great. So I'll take the top part off and then do that next stage there. Now all this from the step 1 up to here, the most important part is this. We are just looking for the ranking in the order, the array that we should produce the goods, the order. That's all. Okay, so let's go to the next step. I won't take off. I'll just take the top. I'll just take the top off. I'll just take the top off. Great. So we go to allocation of resources. And what? Optimum production plan. Allocation of resources and optimum production plan. Great. Allocation of what? Resources and optimum production plan. Please, no shortcut in exam, so I'm begging you. Then you start. Here is a nice table. You start with what? The rank, the product, the name of the product, the units, the limiting factor per unit, total limiting factor. So something like this. It's a nice table. This table should be parts and parts of it. First, rank, first, second, and third in order. So just write the name of the product. Which of the products score first? Alpha was first, so first I have to produce alpha. Which of them scores second? Gamma. Which of them scored third? That's beta. Good. Then you start. What is the demand for alpha? So let's go to the question. I'm going to pick the demand for alpha. Pick the demand for all of them. So demand for alpha will be, so from the question, demand for alpha is 1,000 here. Wait. So we say we should produce all the 1,000. Demand for beta is 1,005, gamma is 850. So 1,000, we should produce them. Please, we have to produce the first one first before moving on to the next. We have to produce alpha first. The one who scored first must be produced before any other one comes in. What's the limiting factor per unit? The limiting factor per unit for that of alpha happen to be 3. Good, that's the limiting factor per unit, 3. So 3 minutes. So if each unit, we need 3 minutes, and now we are going to produce 1,000, what will be the minutes that we have to spend on this 1,000 units? So that will be what? 3,000 minutes. Okay. Then let's go to the second person. The second person is gamma. Gamma, the demand is 850. And then limiting factor happen to be 4. Good. Limiting factor is 4 for gamma. Gamma is 2. Great. Yes, it's so gamma is the last one, 2. The beta that score 4. So 2. So therefore to give us 1007. Then don't forget that you are limited to a certain number. So as and when you are moving, let's keep that number in mind that we cannot go beyond that amount of time. What's the total? So always when you go to the last year, write the total. It's a balancing figure. So the last year, get the total minutes available. What's the total minutes available? So total minutes available could be 10,200. That is what we have. We cannot go beyond the 10,200 minutes. Okay. So if we have 10,200 minutes and then we have used 4,700, how many minutes? So 11, good. 5,500 minutes. So I write 5,500 minutes here. Good. Over here, the last one is the balancing figure. So let's go to the question and go and pick the limiting factor per unit. So the limiting factor per unit is 4, right? Good. So which is 4. So therefore, I'll put a 4 here. When I divide 5,500 by 4, then whatever I get, I put it here. Now, the question is this. If I want to produce a unit, I need 4 minutes. Now I have 5,500 hours available. That's the maximum I can go. So I use that one to produce the remaining one. So that would be 5,500 divided by what? 4. Now to give us 1375. So that is it. So therefore, perfect. We are done. So when we are done, write them down. So therefore, optimum production plan will be, write them again. Alpha, how many units? Beta, how many units? Then gamma, how many units? So alpha, they should produce, just place them again. So this is the optimum production plan. Just rearrange them again. Alpha is 1,000 units. Beta is 1375 units. And then gamma is 850 units. That is it. Now this particular question, they ask for specific section. The examiner asks for a specific section. If you read the requirement carefully, they say how many units of what? Beta should be produced each week to maximize profit. They ask for beta. But beta score last. That means she was the last person. So take note of that. Now, I want us to do all the calculations using this question. First, let's calculate the maximum profit. So let's go to the profit. How to calculate the profit available? What will be the maximum profit? I'll calculate that one, and also calculate the throughput accounting ratio. Then we move on. So I'll quickly do that at this side. This one is not part of the requirements. Yeah.
So it's just the requirement.
We are done with the A. The A was asking for beta alone, but we have go further. We'll do for all of them. So the next one I will do, I'm adding it to it. Determine the profit at this stage or at this level of output. What is the profit at this level of output? So let me do that one here, right? Here, profit is not part of the requirement, but you have to understand it. So the maximum profit. How do you find profit? And the throughput. Profit is equal to the throughput minus what? The operating cost. Operating cost or factory cost or fixed cost. That is it. So under throughput, if you are looking for profit, just relax. Get your total throughput, subtract the operating cost. But make sure that all these costs they include what? Labor. Okay. So that is it. So let's start with the throughput. So I'll pick each of the item one after the other. So I write here throughput and open the brackets. I will start with all the products, alpha, beta, and gamma. The throughput is not only one. How many products? 3. If there are 4, list them down. So alpha, I open a bracket nicely like this and tell the examiner that the throughput, total throughput will be the demand of alpha. Alpha, the demand is 1,000 by the throughput per unit. What's the throughput per unit? We had 1.5, right? The throughput per unit. So which is 1.5 Ghana cedis, throughput per unit. So this will give us 1,500. This will give us 1,500 to be the throughput for alpha. Let's go to gamma. Gamma to pick the demand. Sorry, beta. Pick the demand. The demand is 1,750. You don't need to pick any demand in the question. The one that you have advised them to produce. That is what you have to use, not the one stated in the question. Great. Times the throughput per unit happen to be, so Ghana city of 1.44. So when you multiply 13,750 times 1.44 will give us something like great. So 1.44 times 13,750. That's 1980, right? So that means this question was in or was set or dropped in 1980. Okay. C. Hey, let me see. So gamma 850 times Ghana city of 0.825. 0.825. So that will give us 850 times 0.825, and I'll give us 701.25. Agreed. So 701.25. 701.25. Now what's the total throughput? You sum all together to get your total throughput. So 1,005 plus 1980 plus 70125. So the answer plus 1,005 plus 1980, and that will give us 4,181.25. So 4,181.25. He said less what? Operating cost. Let's go to the question and pick the operating cost. This operating cost must include what? Labor. If labor is not in there, can you calculate it and then add it? So they said that the operating expenses including labor is what? $4,000. So 4,000 here. We take it off. So therefore the profit is 181.25. Great. Perfect. Now, because we want profit, maximum profit, it must be at the profit. If the cost is more than the throughput, then it's a loss. Then that's the least loss. The least loss. I have to take.
I'm getting it.
So basically that is it. So I'm done with the profit. Let me do one more item, then I'll move on to the second part of the question. Let me see if I like this. So let's calculate what we call throughput accounting ratio. Throughput accounting ratio. Yes. According to the very first lecture in the video, we went through the steps of calculating throughput accounting ratio. Also have 3 steps, right? Okay. Now let's go to throughput accounting ratio. Throughput accounting ratio. All these ones are not in a requirement, but I need them. Yes, to complete the game. Throughput accounting ratio. We said that throughput accounting ratio is the ratio that determines the profitability level of a product. It just measures how profit or the profit contributed by each of what the product. So throughput accounting ratio. So we call it throughput accounting ratio. TAR or TPAR. Good. No shortcuts. Throughput accounting ratio. We need 2 items. That's all. It is a return per limiting factor. So return per limiting factor divided by what? Cost. Operating cost per limiting factor. That is all. The return is what? The throughput. Because we saw that return is also called throughput. Okay. So I'll list them here. You have already calculated it. That is the throughput per limiting factor. So I'll start with alpha, beta, and gamma. Then what do we do? Write here throughput per limiting factor. We've already calculated this. That was the one that we ran. So let's go and pick those ones and then put them in. So basically, throughput per limiting factor for alpha, we have 0.5, 0.5. That of beta, we have 0.36. And that of gamma, we had 0.4125. That was the throughput per limiting factor that we had. So what left is we have to now determine the operating cost per limiting factor. Throughput accounting ratio basically explains the profitability level. So your profit or your return over your cost. That's all. How do you get operating cost? The operating cost per limiting factor is equal to, let me write the formula first. So write the formula somewhere. It's equal to the total operating cost all divided by what? Total limiting factor. That's all. So basically that is it. Okay, what's the total operating cost? Then what's the total limiting factor? Good. Now the total limiting factor is the 10,200. So I'll do some small workings here. After the examiner, that's into brackets. Operating cost was 4,000. This 4,000, that was operating cost. Divided by the total limiting factor, which was 10,200, like this. So that's the operating cost per limiting factor. Good. So if my calculator set me right, then it will be 4,000 divided by 10,200. So that gives us 0.392. 0.392 or 0.39. So 0.39, 0.392, and 0.392. So therefore, What will be the throughput accounting ratio? Throughput accounting ratio is nothing by great. So we look at the second part of the question. But this one are not part, but it will help us to explain the second part of the question very well with this. It will help us to understand it well. So what will be the throughput accounting ratio? So that's the throughput per limiting factor or the return per limiting factor divided by the operating cost per limiting factor. So 0.5 divided by 0.392. And we have something like 1.28. Let me run to the two decimal places. 1.28. Then the next one will be 0.36, still divided by, please, the operating cost per limiting factor will be the same throughout, while the throughput per limiting factor will be different. The operating cost will be the same throughout. So 0.36 divided by 0.392. 0.92. So 0.92. Then finally 0.4125 divided by 0.392. And that's 1.05. 1.05. I'm done. Do the interpretation. We said that if you calculate the throughput accounting ratio, three things will happen. Either the answer will be less than 1, or greater than 1, or equal to 1. These are the three possible scenarios or the answers that's likely for you to obtain 1. So if it's less than 1, it means that the operating costs are what? More than the throughput or more than the return. And therefore, that product is what? Unprofitable. It's a loss-making product. That means that product will make loss. Good. Then if it's greater than 1, oh, then that's good news. The return or the throughput is more than what? The operating cost. And therefore, that product is what? Profitable. Finally, if the throughput account ratio is equal to 1, oh, then it means that the return and operating costs are what? The same. So break even. Perfect. However, if it is less than 1, if the return is less than 1 or the throughput accounting ratio is less than 1, then that means that product is what? Unprofitable. So there's a last topic in throughput that suggests that we should find ways of what? Increasing the throughput. If your throughput accounting ratio is less than 1, for instance, so bringing it here, alpha and gamma, they are more than 1, so they are profitable. Their returns are more than what? The operating cost for alpha and gamma. However, for beta, the return is less than the operating cost, and hence the product is what? Unprofitable, which resulted in a throughput accounting ratio of what? Less than 1. And that's what we see here. Operating cost is 39, but the throughput is what? 36. So there's a loss over here. Good. So let's look for the ways that we can adopt to maximize the throughput. Ways of what? Maximize throughput. We said that 1, increase the selling price. 2, reduce your operating cost. How? By cutting down non-value added activity, using more of what? Technology than what? Labor, or machines than labor. More of machines than labor. Good. Then 3, increasing your operating capacity by investing additional what machines, routine maintenance, and reduction of what absenteeism. If your employees like absenting themselves, put a strict measures in place to reverse that. These are the ways of what increasing the throughput accounting ratio. I'm done with those that I wanted to add. Now let's go and then look at the B. Now take the B part critical when going to B. So let's go to the B part of the question. And then we use the scenario there. So let's go to B. So it's saying this. In order to be able to meet increased demand, wow, CBF Co, that's the name of the company, bought another assemble machine, so doubling capacity. The quality control and packaging machine were also modified, so increasing their capacity by 70% and 40% respectively. So that means quality control were increased by 70 and packaging was increased by what? 40. The per unit factors of sales price, material cost, and machine time remain unaltered, meaning that still the same. If they are the same, then that means throughput is also still the same because throughput is the sales minus material. You have no changes, so still the same. Now let's go to the next section. The economy thrived, and the maximum demand for each of the products rose to 1,500 alpha, 2,750 beta, and 900 gamma. Operating expenses increased by 30%, and packaging machine became the bottleneck. That's good news. Here they have identified the bottleneck resource for you, or the limiting factor as what? Packaging machine, not the quality control that we know. Okay. The weekly maximizing output has been calculated as 1,500 alpha, 2,460 beta, and 900 gamma. Okay. Giving a weekly profit of what? 1,852.4. All these figures, your homework will be, you have to confirm those figures for me. How they arrive at this 1,825 and then those optimum production plan. Now let's go to the requirement. What is the throughput accounting ratio at this profit maximizing level of output to 2 decimal places? So they need the throughput accounting ratio at this level. That is all. Second question, which of the variable would increase CBF Co's throughput accounting ratio? Which of the variable? Which of the variable? Okay, so let's start again. They need throughput accounting ratio at this level, right? So throughput accounting ratio, all what we need is what? We need a throughput per limiting factor and operating cost per limiting factor. But here the only issue is that the limiting factor has been changed to what? Packaging. So therefore we have to calculate the throughput per limiting factor again. However, the throughput will still be the same because they've changed the limiting factor. They did not change the per unit item. So it means that the throughput is still the same. The limiting factor has been changed to what? Packaging. So that now we can get a new throughput per limiting factor. So let's start again. So I'll just write here B, I, or just B. I will not start from sales and material cost because they say it has not changed. So throughput is still the same. So for time purposes, start from your throughput per unit. The throughput per unit, we had 1.5, 0.81, 1.44, right? And 0.825. So then we now bring the limiting factor. Which is the packaging. So let's go and pick the packaging time. Because we were told that the new limiting factor is what? Packaging. So let's go. What's the packaging time? Packaging time. Packaging. Why? 453. So packaging 453. So what will be the throughput per limiting factor? So 1.5 divided by 4, 1.44 divided by 5, 1.0825 divided by 3. You can leave your answer in three, 2 decimal places, or you can run to up to any decimal places, but the final answer must be run to 2 decimal places. So 0.375, then 1.44 divided by 5, that will give us 0.288. Finally, 0.825 divided by 3, that gives us 0.275. Good. Then we go and calculate the operating cost per limiting factor. That's all. So let's see. How are you going to calculate operating cost per limiting factor? Operating cost per limiting factor. Basically, is the total operating cost divided by the limiting factor. I'll do the workings here. Let me do the workings somewhere. Because there has been some changes. It is the operating cost over limiting factor, total limiting factor, and your total operating cost. So that is the operating cost per limiting factor. Now the old operating cost is 4,000. Let's see whether there's an increment or a reduction. They said that the operating expenses increased by what? 30%. So we have to increase operating cost by 30. So that means the old operating cost is 4,000. Just multiply by 1.3. That's the mean of increase by 30%. So that means 30, that will be 0.3, add it to 1, making 1.3. Or you can also multiply this 4,000 by 30%. That will give you 1,002. Whatever you get, you add it back, then give you 5,200. Okay, I want to do everything straightforward. All divided by the total limiting factor. So now, they say the limiting factor is what? Packaging. So you have to go and pick the packaging time. So let's go to the question and go and pick the packaging. That one too has also been modified. That's also been modified. Packaging. Where is packaging? Packaging is here. Packaging, the total, says something here. The quality control and packaging machine were also modified. So increasing the capacity by 70 and 40. So packaging is 40%. Agreed. Good. So packaging is 40%. Packaging 40%. So packaging has increased by 40%. So what's the packaging time? The packaging time was 250 hours. That was the maximum. Now it's limited. So we have to go and pick the maximum packaging hours. If you can go to the first workings that we did, the very first one, and you pick the total for available for packaging, we multiply 250 by 60, and we had what? 15,000. So that 15,000 has increased by what? 40%. So increase that one also by 40%, and then we are done. So 40% from here, and then find 60 by 250 to get the increments. Okay. So here will be 15,000. We have it already in the question in our solution. So that's why I pick it straightforward. Times 1.4. That is the new operating cost per limiting factor. So what do you get after doing this? So here to give us 5,400, 5,200 divided by 20. This one by this 15,000 by 40% to give us 6,000. 6,000 plus 15,000 give us 21,000. So 5,200 by 21,000. And this will give us 0.288, right?
5,200.
Yes, so the answer is 0.248. 0.248. So 0.248. 0.248. Let me put it there. 0.248. 0.248. So therefore, throughput accounting ratio will be this divided by this, divided by this. So let's see the game. So therefore, 0.375 divided by 0.248. The final answer can run into 2 decimal places. But they say it must be the final answer should be in 2 decimal places. The final answer. So that's 1.51.288. So 0.288 divided by 248. That's 1.16. 1.16. Don't go on the line. The next one is dot 275 divided by 0.248. So that will give us something like, so the answer will be 1.11. Good. Okay, so now what do the interpretation? All of them are more than one. So the products are what? Profitable. So that is it. Now let's go and read the C part of the question to end the game on this particular question. Yes. I like this particular question because it examines everything, and I've added more also to it. Now, your trial work is you confirm at this, after the changes, kindly calculate the optimum production plan and the maximum profit available. Good. Okay, so let's go to C. It says that which of the variable would increase the company's throughput accounting ratio? Let's see whether it's true, whether the throughput accounting ratio has increased. Let's bring the old one. This is the new. What's the old throughput accounting ratio? The old one, we had something like 1 point. So the old one are 1.28, 0.92, and 1.05. So now indeed it has increased. So the question is asking us to determine the causes or the cause of this. What result the old one moving from 1.28 to what? 1.51. So yeah, that's the ways of what? Increasing the throughput accounting ratio. So here. Now one of the factor will be increasing the selling price. But that will not work here because they've not increased the sales price. So the material cost selling price have not been increased. We also said that reduce the operating cost, and that the operating cost has increased. So those facts you can't say them here. If you tell them off, yes, exactly. But let's go through the question. Good. So they've increased the capacity by buying new machine, doubling the capacity of the assembled machine. So here, the main factor is the modification of the packaging machine. They have what? Modified the packaging machine. And then the increase in the assemble machine. So they've increased the capacity. They have increased the capacity. That is the contributing factor. So one, acquisition of the assemble machine that they've acquired. Two, modification of the quality control and the packaging machine. That is the cause of it. On that note, we are done with this particular question. I'll go to question 3. That's the exam pass question. So I'll look at question 3. That is the exam. That's November 2018 past question. November 2018 past question. Great. But if you have any question, kindly ask before we solve that particular question. Great. Okay, so let's go through the C part again. The C part. Okay, we said that the C part, they're asking us to tell them what are the factors that cause the increment, the increase in the throughput accounting ratio. However, some of the factors are: one, increase in selling price, reduction of operating costs. Those ones will not work in here. Why? Because they told us that they've not altered the selling price and the material cost. So we can't say that they've increased the selling price, so that will not work. And the reducing operating expenses will not also work, or operating costs will not also work, because here it has rather increased by 30%. So then what's the cost? The cost was mentioned in the question. There is something. So first, number one is the acquisition of the assemble machine that they acquired by doubling the capacity of what? The assemble time. Two, the quality control and then the packaging machine were also modified by increasing what? The capacity. That is all. So these are the two factors that cause the increments in the throughput accounting ratio. When they acquired new machine or new assemble machine, it moved the bottleneck resource or the limiting factor from assemble to the packaging. Again, the packaging and that of the quality control machines were also modified. So basically that is it. Now let's go to question 3. That is the November 2018 past question. So question number 3. Here we are. Question 3. KYC. KYC. As usual, I'll go to the requirement first to avoid deviation. So required. Let's go to requirement. Calculate the machine utilization rate per month for each of the machine and explain which of the machines is the bottleneck or limiting factor. Bottleneck or limiting factor. So now when they ask for machine utilization rate, it's nothing by what you need over what you have. That is all. So the requirement over what? The availability. And then we are done. So that's the first part. So that means the first step that we need, they've asked us again, on its own for 4 marks. That is the good news. So the first step that we calculate, this question that we just solved, that everything was inclusive, but here they've asked alone. Okay. Second part is saying that using the current system of marginal costing and contribution analysis, calculate the profit maximizing monthly output. Here, all the steps are the same for what we've looked at for. Just that the difference is that over here, we're going to use contribution, not what? Not throughput. This is under limiting factor analysis. So I'll give that one as a trial work assignment. You try that one. Just use contribution. How do you find contribution? Sales minus what? Variable cost. So that one first, get a limiting factor. 2, contribution per unit. 3, contribution per limiting factor. 4, ranking. 5, resource allocation. And then 6, maximum profit. That's all. So that one, I'll leave it for you to try it. I'll go straight to the throughput aspect there. So let's go to the first one. Now when you go to the third one, let's read all first. The third one, explain why throughput accounting might provide more relevant information in KY circumstances. Where we are just asking you the importance of what throughput accounting ratio. Then the last part, using throughput approach, calculate the throughput maximizing monthly output of the 3 products. So I'll do the I and then the IV. I and then the I your trial work. So you are doing the second and the third aspect. I'll do the first and last aspect. Then we are done. Great. Let's go through them. But all this information here are not important to us. So that the KY Limited makes 3 products. Hand tube, that's the AC, yogurt swallow, YS, and Canlick, CL. All the 3 products are sold as a package, and so are offered for sale each month in order to be able to provide a complete market service. The products are fragile and their quality deteriorates rapidly once they are manufactured. The products are produced on 2 types of machine and worked on by a single grade of direct labor. 5 direct employees are paid 8 Ghana cedis per hour for a guaranteed minimum of 160 hours each month. All of the products are first modeled. So are first molded on a machine type 1 and then finished and sealed on machine type 2. The machine hour requirement for each of the products are as follows. So this is the limiting factor per unit. These are the one given to us. The capacity of the available machines type 1 and 2 are 600 hours and 500 hours per month respectively. So that means machine type 1 is limited to 600, type 2 is limited to 500. That is all. Let's go to the information here. Products are the selling price 91, 174, 140. Component cost. Component cost, where will it be? And other direct material cost. In fact, component cost is part of what? Material cost. So here the material costs are 2, the component and the other material cost. Good. The overhead cost over here is a fixed cost. So take note, this overhead cost is a fixed cost. If you're using the contribution analysis, don't touch it. Maximum demand is there. Although KYC Limited uses marginal costing and contribution analysis as the basis for its decision-making activities, profits are reported in monthly sorry, in monthly management account using the absorption costing basis. Finished goods as inventories are valued in the monthly management account at full absorption cost. Okay, so what we discussed at the inception of the program. So let's start the game. So we are looking for the limiting factor per unit as usual. What you need versus what you have. So they say, sure, great. And this is the full version has been solved. So in the previous lecture videos. So in the videos, if you go through all of them, by the time you finish all, one of them have the solution, full version of this. Good. Okay. So I'll start with A. I say I. I'll tell the examiner that I'm calculating machine utilization rate. So I'll start. How many machines? So I'll write a machine here. So machine or machine, right? So machine type 1 and type 2. So right here, type 1, M1, M2. So machine type 1, type 2. Let's go and write the product name. The name of the product are products HC, YS, and CL. HC, HC, YS, Super Swallow, and CL. So as usual, how we calculated the very first one, the same scenario that we are going to go through. So first, machine type 1 is 1.5 for that of the product HC. So the demand 2 is there. This and the demand is down 120.70. So 120 by 1.5. That'll give us 180. Perfect. So 180 if you multiply. Then the second, type 2 is 1 and it's 120. So it still give us the 120. Hey, how I've done this, we'll go there. I think I have to bring them close. The yogurt, swallow, and CL. Then the next one will be 4.5 for that of product YS, but the demand is 70. Great, so 4.5 by 70. So 4.5 times 70. That'll give us 315. Let's go and pick the other one too. The other one is 270. That's 2.5. That's the machine type 2 is 2.5. So 2.5 of 2.5 times what? Times 70. That should give us 175. Put them in. And go to the last product. The last product is 3 and 2. The hours required 3 and 2. The demand is 60. So 3 and 2. So 3 by 60. That'll give us 180. 2 by 60, that's 120. Then we put them together. So as usual, right? Need here and have. Which the need, the term is what? Requirements. And then the have the term is what? Available. So resource required, resource available. So adding them, 180 plus 315 plus 180 again. That'll give us 675. So I need 675 hours. So here too, 120 and 120. Wow. That'll give us 240. 240 plus the 175. That'll give us 415. 415. Let me fall. 419. Okay. So let's go and pick what you have. The availability, the maximum. So it was given to us for that of type. For that of type 1 is 600, type 2 is what? 500. So 600 and 500 respectively. 600 and 500. Now, they say we should calculate machine utilization rate. Tell the examiner that machine utilization rate is equal to what you need over what you have times 100, or going to go by the term, the resource requirement over the availability times what? 100. That is how we have to go by it. Any of them, you are free to go. Okay, so let's calculate for machine type 1 and type 2. So machine type 1 will be, what I need is 675. What I have is 600 times 100. Type 2, what I need is what? What I need is 415 divided by 500 times 100. This one give us. I'll do the interpretation. Then I'll quickly go and do the last part. So machine type 1 is 112.5%. Then machine type 2 will be 415 or 500. 415 divided by 500 times, that's 83%, right? Now, which of this machine is the bottleneck? Great. So that is the machine 1. Machine type 1 is a bottleneck. I will use here because I'll not use the percentage. I'll use here. I'll explain the percentage later. What I need is 675, but I have for 600, so limited. What I need is 415, but I have more than, so that is it. But if you are going to use this one, it's like this: utilization. That means if you should go ahead, we are going to overutilize the machine type 1. The capacity is more than 112%. Then machine can only work for 100%. That means you are going to overuse it, and then it will be a limited factor for us. But for machine type 2, we have utilized it 83% of its capacity. So you've not even reached 100. So you can also use the percentage. The one that is more than 100 is a limiting factor. The one that is less than 100 is not a limiting factor. So we are done on how to determine the limiting factor. And this is someone's question, 2018 November. Okay. Let's continue the game. The next question is using contribution. So that one, everything, all the steps are the same. We are trying that one. Kindly take the solution and forward it to me as soon as you are done within 24 hours. So that is it. So the B or the second part using contribution, you try that one for me. I'll go straight to the IV. That's using what? The throughput. So throughput analysis. Let's go to throughput analysis. So optimize production plan. So let me take this section off. So first, IV, an assumption that I and I be your portion. And it's in the previous lecture, so or we can also use that one as a guide. So our third exam that I'm calculating was optimum production plan. As usual, I'll not start by saying that limiting factor is machine type what? Machine type 1. No, I'll not say that because we have asked that question for 4 marks on its own. So we'll mark it again. So go straight forward and tell us the throughput, okay? So throughput. For that first step, we have done it already. So determine it, the bottleneck resource, and if explain. They ask us to state why we consider that one as a limiting factor. Because what we have is less than what we need. So I see that the three products, what are they? HC, yogurt swallow, and CL. Throughput, I need my selling price. So let's go and pick the selling price from the question. So throughput, I need the selling price. Let's go and pick the selling price from the question. Great. So the selling price for them as well. I'll pick all of them articles. So let's take note. Let's go up small. So 91, 174, 140, right? Per unit. Ghana cedis. Ghana international cedis, right? So 91, 174, and 140. So 91, 174, and 140. Good. Don't forget your currency. Your reporting currency. Then let's go to material. Yeah, the material cost, there are two. So what do? We record them individually. Component cost, yes, it's part of material. That's a part. Spare part. So if you see spare part, it's a material cost. So first, component cost 22, 19, 16, right? 19, 16, and 22. So let's go. Component cost. Component cost. 22, 19, 16. Kindly put it in brackets. That you know that we are what? Subtracting. Okay, so other material cost 23, 11, 14. So other material cost 23, 11, 14. 23, 11, 14. Other material cost 23, 11, 14. So what's the throughput per unit? Throughput per unit. So as usual, 91 minus 22. So 91 over here plus 22 plus 23. Great. So 91 less 45, right? Less 45. So that's so first one they had 46 Ghana cedis per unit. So 174 plus 19 plus 11, that's 144. Finally, this one needs to give us 30, so 110. Good. We make the limiting factor here. Limiting factor per unit. So let's go and pick the limiting factor. What is the limiting factor here? Machine type 1. So let's go and pick those ones. Okay, so let's see. Machine type 1, so that's 1.5 and what? 4.5 and 3. This combination there, so 1.5, 4.5, and 3. So that's the limiting factor. So 1.5, 4.5, and 3. So what's with the throughput by limiting factor? So 46 divided by 1.5. So that will be 4, 6. Okay, so I have 144 here divided by 4.5. That's 32. This one I'm getting 32. So 46 divided by 1.5. That should give us 30.67. Finally, 110 Ghana cedis divided by 3. That's 36.67. 36.67. So what next? Actually, they're ranking, right? So let's quickly rank them. So ranking. So this one be, but this one is in order. Yes, first, second, third. But if you do the first question to us, if you do the contribution moves like this. If you do the contribution very well, that one's first, second, third. And then the throughput is first, second, third in that order. It's direct opposites. It's direct opposites. Great. So now we can go to resource allocation. As usual, that table you part and part of that. So let me do that one here. Resource allocation. Resource allocation. So resource allocation and optimum production plan. Resource allocation and optimum production plan. Nice table. Start with your rank, products, units, limiting factor per unit, and total limiting factor or quota of the limiting factor. So as usual, first, second, third. The first one was the CL. Then the third one was HC. Good. So let's start with the game. As usual, let me write the total limiting factor here, 600. So that to guide me. Now right at the last and the extreme end here. Okay, so let's see how best we can start the game. So first, For CL, the one that's called first CL, let's go and pick the demand. In fact, now that you get it, then you can write the limiting factor too. But the demand for CL happened to be 60. So let's write the demand for CL 60. Let's go and pick the limiting factor. The limiting factor, pick all of them at a go. So that's 1.5, 4.5, and 3. Okay, this one is coming from the back. It must be 3, 4.5, and 1.5. Good. So 60 by 3 will give us 80. So we have 600. We spent 80 already. No, that's not 80, right? That's 180. Good. We spent 180 already out of 600. Move on to the next one. The demand for the next one is YS. That is the demand for YS is 70. The demand is 70. So I put 70 here. I multiply by 4.5. So 70 by 4.5. That's 315. Then whatever remain is need to produce the last one. The last one is the balancing figure. So don't you want yourself to look for it. So this answer plus 180 plus the 315, that will give us 495. And you take it off from the 600, whatever remains, left with 105. 105. So we have to use this 105 to produce the AC. So if you want to produce the AC with the hours of 105, it can produce what? That's divided by 1.5. That's 70, right? Good. Out of 120, we can produce 70. So therefore, the optimum production plan will be, just write this one again for them. And that's the end of the game. So that is it. Unfortunate for us, this is how far the good Lord will bring us. On that note, we will continue again, God willing, our next meeting. So thank you very much for coming. If you have not subscribed to the channel, kindly do so. Okay.